Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers match reaction. It was Celtic 3, Rangers 1. Kenny, good evening, mate. How are you? I hope you are well.
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. Just same old. So we thought we'd nip on for a quick half hour, and lads are on later on tonight. Everybody's on later, so we thought we'd just fill the gap a wee bit.
Yeah, we certainly did. Before we start, there's a lot to discuss. It will include refereeing decisions. It will include Rangers' performance. It will include Rangers' dugout. What I will say is, as much as this pains me, Celtic were the better side today. They deserved to win. They had the character. They had the spirit. They had the desire that we didn't. So I am not here to take that away from them. I'm not here to criticise them performance-wise or anything. And that hurts to say it, but I will be the person that does say it. What I will say about Rangers' performance is on Rangers. What I will say about Rangers' dugout is on Rangers. What I will say about the refereeing performance and everything else is purely through blue-tinted specs. Of course it is, but we will discuss everything. Kenny, first up, the team selection. Oliver Antman started his first game in 6 months, which was we're calling for. He looked like he'd started his first game in 6 months. Nico Raskin not in the team at all, had a knock. John Souttar, who we talked about the other evening, I knew he had a knock, so he wasn't never going to make it anyway. And Ryan Nadiri not fit either, which was a huge blow. Any concerns, or were you bothered about the team selection? I will tell you straight away, I was shocked that James Tavernier made it in at right back ahead of Dujon Sterling. And I think we paid the price for that one. Aside of that, Barron, Chikwani, Diamande, I understand why he went for the 3 in midfield. I don't think it worked. But yeah, Ant-Man coming in is like a toss of the coin between Scovols and Gassama and things. So I wasn't really bothered. Starting Tavernier at right back, we talked about it on the chat. I thought that was an absolute nightmare.
Very strange decision, particularly after Tavernier's performance on Monday night for me. Oliver Antman, for all that I've wanted him to have a chance, I'm not strictly sure that throwing him in away from home at Parkhead was the right idea. But you're right, the right-hand side's been an issue, so I had no real issues with that. The midfield surprised me, but you hear the manager say that Nico Raskin's got a muscle injury, and so you go, right, fair enough. But I thought both Conor Barron and Oliver Antman looked very rusty, and I will go on to discuss the defensive performance. But yeah, no huge surprises. But I'm totally agree. I'm total agreement with you there in terms of Dujon Sterling should have started at right back for me. Absolutely. Yeah, but in terms of the other surprise, Oliver Antman, then yeah, you're right. It is literally throwing mud at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, sadly. To be honest, the right hand side has been absolutely dire. So it is just a case of, we'll see what works. Rangers start reasonably well. I don't think Celtic caused Rangers too much problem. Rangers do get the opening goal. Yusuf Chermiti was causing Celtic all kinds of problems. We'll come to that in a wee second. The ball gets launched forward. He manufactures something out of it. And it breaks to Mikey Moore, who tucks it away. Perfect start, Kenny. 1-0 up. And then for 5 minutes, we showed a bit of composure. We were knocking it about well. After 15 minutes, we were entitled to have said we've started well. But then, of course, we do what we always do. But the first 15 minutes taking the lead, we were doing okay.
Yeah, we took the lead. We had a chance just before that. Chermiti had put just past the post. Some good work and terrific work. I think it was from Manny Fernandez to take the ball off of that Luke McCowan, and Chermiti does very, very well. And Mikey Moore a tidy wee finish at a tight angle. So we went 1 up, and for the next 5-10 minutes, we were the better side. We were very composed and knocking it about and looked tidy enough. Why we stopped? Well, put it this way. Yusuf Chermiti was given Trusty an absolute nightmare of a time. Playing it to playing it high, playing it up in the air, and he was winning everything, and he was holding it very well. He was playing people in, and we stopped giving the ball to him. And that was kind of pretty much the end of us, I thought.
Do you know why we stopped giving the ball to him? And it was a very subtle moment that happened. People will notice that in the first 15, 20 minutes, there was a lot of fouls. Alistair Johnson was in, could easily have had a yellow card. Cal McGregor easily could have had a yellow card, and they didn't. Yusuf Chermiti had one foul and was immediately yellow carded, and it stopped his whole game because they no longer started playing. He no longer challenged Kenny. It was a very subtle moment from Nick Walsh, who clearly realised that Yusuf Chermiti was having such an impact on the game, and he stopped it immediately. Alistair Johnson should have been booked. His foul was no different to what Yusuf Chermiti was booked for, but only one was, and that would become critical in the next 20 minutes, as we've seen. But there's no doubt in my mind that the decision to book Yusuf Chermiti and let others go for Rangers' first real foul was as predictable as night as day.
Yeah, well, we're going to go into the referee's performance because it needs talked about, actually. And listen, before we do anything about that, you're right, actually, in terms of the yellow card that Chermiti got. It's probably why he wasn't quite as involved in the game. But, yeah, how would you put this? The ability to change momentum by decision making is very, very important, and we've watched this all too often in games against them, mate. But as I say, the better team won on the day, so we don't have any complaints about that. But yeah, we do have to ask questions about some of these decisions. But I just thought we get progressively worse throughout the game until Celtic decided that they were just going to manage the game and see it out. And it was a disappointing day all round, mate. That's all I would say.
Yeah, it was. Celtic do then equalise. And Rangers, it's such an easy goal. Nobody tackles, nobody gets their foot in. Nobody does anything. And we're very easily picked apart. It was offside. It was clearly offside. And I'll point back to the goal at Dundee. I'll point back to some of the decisions we've had. I remember Morelos was pushed for blowing on one of their defenders, and he was punished when he stuck away a goal at Parkhead. And I look at this one, and I just think if it was up the other end, there's no way Rangers are giving that decision. Jack Butland's clearly got a Celtic player standing in front. He's interfering with play. I never ever thought anywhere on the rules it was anything to do with could the goalkeeper get there or whatever else. It's offside for me, Kenny. Goal stands, it shouldn't have, in my opinion.
He's clearly offside. There's two of them standing in an offside position, but one of them is standing directly in front of our goalkeeper. And you listen, before people think we're going to have a rant, I'll reiterate, the better team in the day has won this game, but under no circumstances can I figure out why that goal's been given. The guy is about 2 yards offside, Stevie, directly in front of a goalkeeper, and there is nothing in the rule that says it will be determined in whether the keeper can get there or not. It's an absolute nonsense, Stevie. He is offside. But we've come to expect it in these games, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it other than clearly it's offside. It's not, and I can't be bothered. This is where this pantomime stuff, this Punch and Judy nonsense on Sky really does my box in, where you've got Chris Sutton turning saying, well, he's not going to get there anyway, so it doesn't matter. Don't talk nonsense. It's the rule. It's the laws of the game, and it just kind of winds me up when you're having to listen to nonsense like that. You don't hear it from Sky. I've got the Arsenal game on just now. You don't hear it on the English Premiership or the Championship in England. You never hear it in any of the football coverage, you know, on Sky, apart from in Scottish football, where you've got absolute nonsense from pundits that are making the rules up and telling people, that's all right then. Oh, of course it's not. He's offside. He is clearly offside and impeding the goalkeeper's vision. Therefore, it shouldn't stand. I said at the time, my son turned and said, this will stand. What's this? And I said, well, do you think it's going to stand at the other end? And he went, absolutely not.
Yeah, and then we have the other big talking point, Mikey Moore challenge the challenge on Mikey Moore by Alistair Johnson, called it straight away on social media, called it in the chat straight away. It was a red card, as clear as day. You only need to go back to last week at Hibs when you saw the Hibs boy correctly be sent off for his tackle on the Celtic player. I said at the time it was a red card, but then there was one by the boy Donovan at Easter Road, which was so similar that was only a yellow and stuff like that. So this one is clear as day, catch them ankle high. And the three of them said at half time in the Sky studio that it was a definite red card, and it was a definite red card. It only took me one view to see it. I'm baffled that VAR didn't have a good view and have a proper look at that. Well, am I really baffled? No, I don't think I am. John Beaton. Please, can we stop this bullshit about John Beaton being a Rangers fan, because it's an absolute fucking nonsense. So it is. Kenny, red card all day long.
Called it instantly. I for whatever reason, I just caught exactly where the connection was. I thought he was pretty straight-legged. He's off the ground, and it's on his calves, shin, calf, that kind of area, and it's as clear a red card as you're ever going to see, Stevie. But are you surprised? No, and I don't blame the referee for that, because in real time it's very difficult to tell. I suppose that's what VAR is there for, and yet again, VAR is determining key decisions and getting them wrong. And this needs to be highlighted. There was a situation last night with the Hearts and Motherwell game. It's as clear a penalty as you're ever going to see. Hearts don't get it. These are season-defining, decisions, Stevie, and you need to be better. You've got a referee, you've got a fourth official, you've got two assistants, you've got two referees in a VAR room. Come on to goodness. That they're not fit for purpose, Stevie. And yeah, again, I'm going to reiterate, I have no complaints about the result. I still think that if the goal gets chopped off rightly and the player gets sent off correctly, then we would have probably still managed to find a way of making an arse of this. Do you know what I mean? But these are really key decisions, and yet again, in a game against them, we don't get these decisions, Stevie, when it's staring everybody in the face. You cannot ever say that's not a red card. It's as clear a red as you're ever going to see.
Yeah, so we go to half time, and within 10 minutes of the second half, the game's over. Celtic go 2 and then 3-1 up. Both times, James Tavernier, for me, is horribly found wanting. It's an easy ball over the top by Scales. I don't know what Giga's doing. He runs out. Tav, half-hearted, trying to stop a cross. He never, ever is going to get there. He's just miles away from it. Doesn't have the desire to want to stop the cross, which is so lacking. The ball goes in. Maeda does really well. Fernandes lets him get in front of him. Maeda finishes. And then again, the third goal, James Tavernier lets the cross come in. It comes back. What an outstanding finish by Dajan Maeda again. I don't like to say it, but it is. Jack Butland, of course, if he had moved for it, that would have been helpful, but he doesn't. And we're 3-1 down, and it's game over, Kenny. And at that point, at 3-1, you're thinking to yourself, this could get a whole lot worse. But Celtic kind of take their foot off the gas at 70 minutes, whether they had blown their races, run the races, so to speak. I don't know, or they were just taking it easy. I was worried they were going to get more. They didn't, but that quick 2-goal scenario from their point of view killed the game and won the game for them. But from defensively, from our point of view, James Tavernier is horrendous for both.
Yes, he is. I'm past the point of what's the point in talking about it anymore. He's away in a couple of weeks, mate. But it's the half-arsed, lethargic attitude about defending from our captain that I just can't be bothered with. Honestly, I'm just look. Even go back to the first goal. How many times have we watched Rangers lose that goal at that place over and over and over and over and over again? A cutback and nobody's defending properly. The second goal, I think. Yeah, there's more than one point of error, but James Tavernier should do a whole lot better. And then the third one, I actually think James Tavernier looks a little bit silly. He's made to look stupid and it's not good enough. But fair play, that Dyson Maeda, he takes both goals really well. His second finishes. I mean, you look back at the Chermiti goal in the 2-2 game, and you look at that and you say that's two of the best Old Firm goals you're ever likely to see. They both came in the same season, but at that point, Stevie, I had no great complaints. We had utterly capitulated yet again, and what really winds me up about this is that that's the second time in a week where we've walked in at half time. Whatever's been said, whatever's been done, you walk out and you are not prepared to start the second half properly. They just came at us as if we didn't exist, and it's pathetic. It is genuinely pathetic to watch, and I'm kind of bored of this because you look at it and you think, how can you must be going in at half time and speaking to each other and saying, look, don't let what happened on Monday happen again. Be ready, be on the ball, be on your toes, get tore in, all these things, and we don't. And I'm sorry, we are nowhere near good enough to stoat about any football pitch thinking that we're good enough. We're just not. And that's what kind of winds me up about this, Stevie. There was an air of inevitability about it that the second half started. And yet again, I'll be perfectly honest, when it got to 3-1, I thought there was a distinct change. I thought Celtic kept the tempo for 3 or 4 minutes. And then Martin O'Neill started making changes, probably thinking that's us now in the position where if we win the last 2 games, we're going to win this league. And I'll manage this game and I'll manage minutes. And they just seen the game out. And they were very professional about it. And it's exactly what we don't have in our football club at the minute. We don't have the ability to manage games. We can't get 90 minutes out of them. I actually thought we got about 25 minutes out of our team today, and that was it. And a lot of that, particularly in that second half when we were 3-1 down, was down to the fact that Celtic were managing the game and had us on strings, actually. For all that we were huffing and puffing and trying to get into the game, I thought they were well in control of it. And it's a sad indictment of where we are at this minute in time, Stevie, where 2 weeks ago we were apparent favourites to win this league, and we've now lost 3 games in a bounce for the first time in 25 years. It tells you all you need to know about what you and I and everybody else on Four Lads has been banging on about for a year and a half or so. The mentality within that football club is not right. It just isn't.
Okay, not much more to be said from the game today. I don't think there's even much point in talking. A couple of things happened. Yeah, there was a wee scuffle at the end, and Mikey Moore was the only one that stuck up for 2 Romans. Is anyone really surprised? No. I thought Chermiti got pass marks. Mikey Moore always gets pass marks for effort as the endeavour and final stuff there. No, he's an 18-year-old boy. The rest of it, I'm not sure. If we're being honest with ourselves, that there was many pass marks I was particularly, again, disappointed by the three-man midfield, Barron, Chukwani, Diamande, all neat and tidy. Nobody capable of being able to control a game. Nobody being capable of being able to put their boot in. The drop-off in Chukwani in recent weeks has been alarming, to say the least. He looks very substandard. Again, Mohamed Diamande likes to pass the ball and point, doesn't do much else. Connor Barron, neat, tidy. I didn't think he was anything. Chuck Raskin into that as well, and the four of them are so similar. It's unbelievable. Romans, fine. There's not much else, I'm afraid. I just don't think the core of this team is as weak as piss. We've talked about it loads of times, Kenny. We've talked about what we need. We need leadership. We need guidance. We need resolve. We don't have it. When we're leading games, it doesn't take a lot for teams to change the outcome of it. Hearts and Celtic are so similar, and that all they really did was up the tempo and keep the ball. And they both deserve to win the game. Rangers are miles away from it. Kenny, honest appraisal, we are in need of yet again another rebuild in the summer, another influx of players, another spate of good signings, which we haven't had. I don't think there's much point in pretending that this team are better than what they are. They've shown themselves in the last 3 games. The spine of the team is horrendously poor and weak, and we need to get that right. I don't know what else to say about
that. They had 4 shots on target today, Stevie. They've scored 3 goals. Jack Butland's distribution is absolutely horrific. It's as bad as it has ever been in his time at the football club at this moment in time. My son and I were actually howling with laughter. That's how bad it was in the first half at one point when we turned around and we were going, that's 0% accuracy. He had something like 10 or 11, 12 maybe, long balls out in the first half and didn't hit a single Rangers player, didn't get anywhere near one. I thought the 2 centre halves were pretty poor. I thought Romans was okay. I thought he did all right first half. I thought he got a much harder time off of Yang in the second half. I thought James Tavernier was appalling. I'm sorry, he was just not good enough. His distribution was poor. His passing was poor. Defensively, he was awful. The midfield didn't work. I thought Chukwani was really poor. I thought Connor Barron's first touch at times was leading to his second touch being a tackle. Diamande did very little. I thought the 2 pass marks for me were, I agree with you, Chermiti and Mikey Moore. I thought Ant-Man was non-existent. The subs, it's a sad day when you're watching some of these substitutions come on. You just know they're not capable of changing a game, Stevie, and that's where we are. That you've got a bench there that's been brought in for a fairly hefty wedge of money, and there's nothing there that's going to change the game for you, and that's got to be a concern for Andrew Kavanagh and his board, that there's not an awful lot there. But yeah, again, I don't want to sit and come across as too morose or pissed off about it. But we've all seen this movie before, Stevie. We know what's going to happen, and it's what we alluded to on Thursday night. We can see this as fans coming before anybody else does, because we're that used to it, and we can see the writing on the wall. We can see the signs of a capitulation before anybody else can, and there's lots and lots of questions that are going to need to be answered. It's what I've been saying all week on here, is that Andrew Kavanagh and his and other investors in his board have got huge decisions to make. They do, because we have to get out of this cycle of sacking managers mid-season, if you like. So there is fundamental areas of the football club that they're going to have to look at and see where they are.
Okay, so here's the lovely question that we like to talk about. Talked about it on Monday, talked about it on Thursday. We'll talk about it again because it has to be discussed. Danny Rule, I think, 6 wins out of 16 top flight games or top games. Martin O'Neill has taken his pants down at nearly every turn. The one game he did win against Celtic was against Wilfred Nancy. And other questions surrounding other games. I think there's a lot of issues surrounding Danny Rule. Here's the thing: I really like Danny Rule as a person. I think he's great, really nice guy, really personable, really nice guy. But nice guys at Rangers are absolutely fine. We need a winner. We need somebody. Biggest concern is you keep him. It starts the next season. If we don't have that brilliant summer where we fly out the traps, then if we do have a couple of dodgy results, the fans will just go tonto, and they'll be ready for him to go. From what I hear from the guys in the away end today, a lot of my friends were at the game. I didn't get a ticket, unfortunately or fortunately, and they were all saying that the fans were more or less unanimous. Kenny, I think Danny Rule's up against it now. He had to have a strong finish to the season. After losing out in 2 cups, its scar tissue is all over the place. Nice guy, good coach. Could he have been a bridging gap to what we needed in the summer? Possibly. Could it be too harsh on him? Overall reactionary. We've just slated the team and said that they're basically shite, and there's no strength to the spine of the team. Maybe we can't expect much more from him, but I'm really struggling to see Danny Rule as head coach of Rangers next season without waiting for this inevitable bad start, bad results, and then the fans just get pissed off and he's out in time for September. We can't keep sacking managers, but we can't hold on to guys just because we can't keep sacking managers. Is it time, end of season, shake his hand and say, thanks, Danny, we move on? It's starting to look like it. Or if it's not looking like it and that's harsh, I understand that. But at least we can say, honestly, this is Groundhog Day. And once again, it feels like we're the same problems as always.
That's because it is the same problem as always, Stevie. And I understand the entire argument about we can't keep sacking managers. And I agree with it. You can't keep sacking managers. However, you've got to get the right man in place. And there is quite, whether people like it or not, I don't really care. If you're not questioning the results over the past fortnight, what's the matter with you? You've lost 2 games all season, and now you've lost 3 in a row. And we keep talking about mentality and getting the right manager, but it's up to the manager or the head coach, as Danny Rule is, to instill that mentality into that team. And we don't have that. And at the end of the day, me and my son had a wee quick check earlier on, and in the last 10 league games, we've lost 19 goals, Stevie. That is appalling. You can't possibly expect to win a league if you're losing basically 2 goals a game, every game. So, yeah, the question is there, and whether, as I say, they stick or twist, I don't know. It's not for us to answer. However, if Andrew Kavanagh and Parag Marathi at the 49ers and whoever else is involved in these decisions, Stevie, if they're not concerned about this, then they should be, because I keep saying it, they know their jobs better than us, but they don't know Rangers better than we do. They just don't. We brought up in it. I'm 56. I've been 50 years following this or supporting this football club, Stevie, and you can see where the fans are headed already. And if they do decide to keep him, then they are going to have to turn around and look at it and say, what is it he needs to play this 4-2-2 4-2 system, or whatever system that he wants to preferably play, I'm not convinced that's necessarily a great idea, because it's a very counter-intuitive or counter-attacking kind of way of playing. It's all about transitional football, and I'm not convinced with Rangers that with the amount of ball that we get over the course of a season, that is necessarily the way we should be playing. But it's up to those that run the football club to decide that. But for me, take nothing away from these players today. They were a disgrace. They were. There was a number of them were very, very poor today. And for all that we're talking about Danny Rule here, the players need to take a lot of the responsibility for the last 2 weeks, because they've been half-arsed, lazy, and got what they ultimately they've deserved, and it's a third place finish. And if any of these guys are wandering about thinking they're some kind of football player because they're at our football club, listen, the shame of finishing third shouldn't be masked back from them. They should be fully aware of it. But then again, so should Danny Rule. He has to be aware that third, regardless to the job that he had done up to and all that we keep hearing about, the fact is we were a point behind going into the split, and we're done after 3 games. We were done after 45 minutes effectively, but we've been absolutely embarrassed as a support by the incredibly poor showings over 3 games of football against teams that Motherwell have won 1 and 8, Stevie, and it was against us, I believe. Hearts are no great shakes, and that's a poor Celtic side regardless. So it shows you where we are and how absolutely awful this Rangers team is. So I'll keep saying it. When it comes to Danny Rule, it is entirely on the owners to kind of sort this out. But I know where I'm thinking, but it's very difficult to sit there and, hey, how would you put it, Stevie? Yeah, to turn around and say, right, I just want him to go, or I want him to stay. It's just one of these things that the board have got a lot to find over the next few weeks and a lot to figure out.
Yeah, Arsenal have just scored in the big game down south. They're at West Ham. They lead by 1-0. Right, listen, do I really want Danny Rule to go? Probably the answer to that is no. I want Danny Rule to be a success here. I really like him. But the biggest thing is, if we sit here and say everything's wonderful and we shouldn't discuss Danny Rule and, it's not fair on him and all these things would be right, because he's only had one window, he's only got a couple of players and all that's absolutely fine. But if you ignore the bigger picture and you ignore all the things that's building up, I feel like it's absolutely disingenuous. If Andrew Kavanagh is that ruthless boss that we want him to be, the honest truth, Danny Rule would be getting removed as Rangers manager, Kenny, and that's unfortunately the absolute truth. Yeah,
of course it is. And as I say, Stevie, if you're being, this is my point about this. The decision here is such a key one, where I'll ask you it in a different way. Do you see Rangers under Danny Rule, on the evidence that we've shown, winning this league next year, even with 5, 6, 7 players in his team? Are you sure that he's got it within him to change? Because in-game management has, for me, has been really, really, really poor since the turn of the year, Steve. It really has.
The only answer I would give to you on that is, if I told you that Danny Rule was the man for next season and the man to win the league or the man to win trophies, the only way I'd be saying that is because I like him as a person. It's not because I truly believe it, because I don't.
That's my point. That's where I'm trying to be. Take it from an overview or a perspective, an all-round perspective, if you like. Where I look at it and I say, do I see Rangers winning the league under Danny Rule next year? Because I've already said this week, I couldn't give 2 hoots about European football next year. I don't care. I want to see us focus on nothing more and nothing less than winning league games next season. Just win that league, because Hearts are going to invest, Celtic are going to invest. They're already better than us, Stevie. So that's how bad we are. And this is what I'm saying. Do you want a 37-year-old who, with all respect to Danny Rowe, and I like him, I've met him a few times, and I think he's a lovely, he comes across a cracking guy, and I think he's got the potential to be a wonderful coach and a wonderful manager in time, but he's clearly learning on the job, and he's been very obviously over the last couple of weeks been found badly wanting in in-game stuff, because to be 2-0 down at Falkirk, to be 2-0 down against Motherwell, 2-0 down against Livingston, 2 up against Celtic and dropping 2 points, and then the Motherwell, Hearts and Celtic over the last couple of weeks, it's alarming how badly he's been incapable of changing the situation that Rangers have found themselves in. Is a lot of that to do with the squad that he has? Yeah, very possibly. But you can't have it both ways if you're Danny Rule, by then turning around and saying, but look where we came from. Well, you've managed at times to get us defensively solid. You've managed at times to get us to score lots and lots of goals. Is there any chance he is getting a 90 minutes put together where we can be really good defensively and really good in the midfield and really good up front? Because we've not seen it yet. It's all fits and starts and moments and periods where you're doing certain things very well. And then there's periods where we're doing other things really badly. So if it's me and I'm Andrew Kavanagh, and I'm just going to give it from my own personal point of view, I don't ever want to see anybody lose their job. But my priority is wanting to see Rangers be successful. And at this moment in time, I have my serious reservations that Danny Rule's the guy to put us on the right path to win a league. And I don't want to wait any more. We need to do it now. We need to. I want to see us winning the league next season, Stevie, because I'm just at my wit's end watching the tail end of seasons like this, where you're like, this isn't what we're. This is not what we're buying into. Do you know what I mean? We're buying into a football club that has a DNA within it that's meant to be winning things. And we've lost our way badly as a football club over the last 25 years. And it needs dealt with, Stevie. And I don't see Danny being that guy. I just don't.
Opinions have changed very quickly over Danny Rule, and with 3 results the way it has been, you cannot not ask questions of the man.
We're entitled to ask those questions, though, Stevie, after a fortnight like this. We are, all of us, every single Rangers supporter is entitled to ask that question, because you put your faith in someone and they're getting things right, and then all of a sudden when the chips are down, they don't get it right, they get it badly wrong, then you have to question why.
Yeah, there's no defending the last couple of weeks, that's for sure. Andrew Kavanagh will have a very big question to answer. He's going to invest in Rangers this summer. Rangers are going to spend money. Rangers are going to try and bring in the players that they feel they need. Is Danny Rule really the head coach they want? If Danny Rule's not the head coach they want, I've only got one request: to please stop pissing about with project people. Go and get a manager. Go and get an actual manager that's going to install his way, that's a winner. These are difficult to find, I get it. But no more projects, please. This is going to run and run, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back on Monday night, Kenny and I, to discuss it further. Tough one to take today. Better team, unfortunately, won the game. No complaints over that. Do we have complaints over individual Rangers performances, individual decisions? Of course we are. Of course we do. But such is life. Big questions surrounding Rangers, and they will go on, that's for sure. Join the Sunday show at 8 o'clock. They will discuss this more in depth, and Danny Rule will be top topic, that's for sure. Huge thanks to our sponsors: Rhino Express, Clyview Fire Protection and Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Sunday sponsor Candid, and rydc.co.uk. Tough one today. It seems to get easier on Four Lads, but maybe one day this club will stop pretending it's a big one and start acting like it. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please on YouTube, make sure you do before we go. Take care and catch us all again. Sunday show tonight, 8 o'clock. Take it easy. Bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.